I think the match is quite balanced as we go into day four. Day three was a very interesting performance from both sides. It's a very interesting day of Test cricket. There are some highs for both teams, some lows for both teams. So I would say that we're sitting with a evenly balanced, I would say, Test match. Despite the fact that this is going to have to be the highest chase at this ground um, for New Zealand to actually end up winning. I think that the highest chase was 212 um, when Australia beat New Zealand back in 2000. So this is going to be have to be something special from New Zealand if they want to get over the line. But this is a very different circumstance, very different pitch, and we are going to be going into day four with the match. I think quite nicely balanced in both teams' favors, particularly because of the last wicket that fell before the day's play ended. So we're going to go through this on today's show. We're going to chat about all the highlights of what took place in this on this day in the second test. But before we get going, before we get started, please subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos, please. I'd also like you guys to please subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. And please join our business corner if you are a business or you're an entrepreneur or a startup and you're trying to market your business effectively and affordably. We've got an amazing offer for you guys, and we can start the discussion for 100% free with us first and foremost so that we can decide what works for you. So go and send this link to anybody that you do know that is interested. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Very, very exciting things that we can talk about on today's show. Let's get into it. A very good morning and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Maiden, and this is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with day three of the second test between South Africa and New Zealand. So the game, I feel, at the moment is quite balanced for both sides, despite the fact that New Zealand have to chase the highest ever total at this ground in the fourth innings. They are South Africa posted a target way above the last best innings chase in the fourth innings, which was 212 in 2000. So this is going to be a game where New Zealand are going to have to make history, and they will make history on two fronts. First and foremost, the highest chase at the ground, and second of all, they'll make history by beating South Africa for the first time ever in Test cricket in New Zealand. So that is something that New Zealand will be aiming for. But what took place in the match? Let me get into it. I think again today we were saved by one particular partnership. I feel that changed the game in South Africa's favor and put us into a strong position. Similarly to the first innings, where a partnership at the end between Rwanda Swat and Sean van Berg tipped the game into South Africa's favor. This time around, South Africa were bowled out for 235, less than their first innings, but the lead was significant, and that was the important part. We started off the game okay, I think, with Neil Brandt, but once again, shot selections are a problem. But it was a very good delivery from Rock to remove him. The way it cut back in to the to the left-hander was brilliant. And they cut his defensive line up basically in half, and it flew off the inside shoulder of the bat, and straight to the keeper. So it was a good anticipation from the keeper as well for him to take that that catch. But Brandt wasn't really helped by his his other top order batters. Clyde Fontaine again poor. Um, he was bowled LBW. Um, tried to play a paddle sweep. I don't know why. And Reiner van Tonde playing an unnecessary, playing the short ball unnecessary, um, and getting caught. So he also departed for one. So that didn't really help South Africa to be knocked down because they batted the hours at least, Neil Brunt and Clive Fontaine. You know, they took the game. Um, they they tried to bat time and as best as possible. But they couldn't even survive the drinks break, and South Africa were 28 for two by that point. And then once again, Neil Brandt losing his wicket, and South Africa losing a wicket again before lunch. So they were three down, South Africa, for 39 runs. And then a partnership between David Bedingham, a 50-run partnership by David Bedingham and Zubair Hamza, really kick-started South Africa's innings, and they at least took it to past the 100-run mark. And until Zubair Hamza again with another disappointing shot, Wagner's first delivery, and first short delivery, and he whacks it, tries to whack it and pull it unnecessarily. So it was another poor shot selection after he got himself in, after he batted for 63 balls, 99 minutes. He goes out to a shot like that. I don't know if it is the strategy that he was batting with. Has he been batting himself into a hole, trying to be too defensive for too long? Could that be the reason why he has ended up playing poor shots for his wickets? He's been a disappointment so far this tour. He's one of the players that we were really looking forward to stepping up as a batter, but this tour has been poor for Zubair Hamza. So I'm thinking that it's going to be some time probably for us to see him again in the Proteas side after this particular series. He's probably going to have to work harder at domestic level and try to get in the SAA team again before he gets a shot at in the South African national team. Then David Bedingham and Keegan Peterson both batted absolutely fantastically, I would say. They took the team to past 200, to past the 200 run mark. And it was a lot of minutes spent at the crease. Um, good shots played, good defensive shots played, good leaves. All of those things were perfect. And they batted very well and to get themselves till tea. And that's why I thought that, they're going to kick on and really score a lot more runs here. 186 for four, they were after tea in 53 overs. And then they brought up South Africa's 200 after tea. And they looked very settled, I would say, at the crease. And they looked like they really were going to dig in and take the team forward. And then all of a sudden, there was a massive collapse. Keegan Peterson lost his wicket for 43. Um, him too, I think a little bit of a loose one. Um, but it was a very good catch, I would say. But a little bit of a looser shot from him, pushing at the ball. And then Ruan de Swart got bowled by Phillips for one, Sean van Berg for two, Dane Pitt for two, and Dane Patterson for seven, for complete collapse at the end there. The tail didn't wag at all. When we needed it to wag a little bit, we needed the tail to try and add some extra runs to the board to get us closer to that 280, 300 run mark. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. South Africa posted a lead of 267, I think it was. So they were sitting they were sitting in a pretty decent situation or position as a team. Sorry, at the end of the day's play, and you would say that it was a good effort from David Bedingham. David Bedingham was absolutely fantastic and the probably the player of the series in the series. He scored a magnificent 100. His maiden test done. 110 of 141 balls. He had 12 fours and two sixes at a strike rate of 78. I have to notably mention the strike rate because he was batting at quite a decent rate. And he stood out by far. He played some excellent shots. He paced his innings quite well. He survived the correct periods during the match. At least he survived all the sessions that he needed to. But unfortunately, um, he couldn't stick around longer. And Rook got his wicket as well. A key wicket. It was a good bowling and a great catch by Phillips again. Um, but could have been avoided too, I would say. But he tried to punch it off the back foot, an outside off delivery, and there was a obviously brilliant catch taken um, by Phillips. So yeah, the extra bounce in this particular game was quite troubling for the batters, definitely. But I'm just a bit disappointed that the rest of the batting lineup couldn't really come to the party with David. Um, they couldn't support David and try and take the team into even better territory. 280 could have been very, very possible. 300 would have been a lead, or 300 could have been on the cards as well. So I think for some time in the match, I was feeling like because of the start that the two openers got, um, Latham and Conway, the start that they got was pretty decent. I was thinking maybe that we are a little bit starting to feel that maybe a little bit short and a little bit disappointed because we couldn't take a wicket with a new ball. And then the penultimate, the penultimate um, ball before the match, Dane Pete strikes. He takes out Devon Conway, LBW, 17 or 44 balls. He was 58 minutes at the crease. And he knocks them back one wicket. And it gives South Africa some positivity going into day 4. They would feel lot better having taken having taken one wicket. I mean, 40 for one. So day day 4 is going to be an interesting one now. You know that the morning sessions in New Zealand can be quite helpful to the bowlers, and we're hoping obviously that Pato, Moreki get some swing, and maybe Dane Pitt and Sean Van Berg will come into play on this particular wicket as the game goes on, because it does look like it's going to open up and spin a little bit. New Zealand's bowlers got a little bit of spin on this wicket, um, even though it was the flattest today, I would say, this wicket. So that's also why I'm actually quite disappointed with our batting application again. Um, I think Coach Shukri has his answers now with his batting department. I think that the only real player that stood up with a bat was David Bedingham, and perhaps he can maybe look a little bit at Rwanda Swat and the way he applied himself in the first innings. But other than that, I haven't really seen anything that wowed me. Keegan Peterson got close twice, 45 and 43 now. So that's a concern that he's not converting his scores. That's a big concern. And that he still hasn't scored any major milestones since that India series. So for me, David Bedingham is the only standout batter. Um, and perhaps we can look at Rwanda Swat as well, because currently we're sitting in a situation where I feel that the number 5 spot was supposed to be one of the positions that we were a little bit wary of, but I think David Bedingham has solidified that spot as is. South Africa's test team, at least now, top 5, we can safely say is complete. Which keeper we're going to go with? Whether Calverena can continue to impress or can try to impress now after his poor form against India, whether he can now change things around would be also key. Um, Neil Brandt, as opener, he was decent in his matches, got good starts, but could never convert his starts. Had a bad start to the test series, but came back quite nicely in the last 2 innings. But I haven't seen anything from him to say that he should take that opening spot, Alga's opening spot. I think that what most likely will happen is that Tony De Zorzi will move up and open the batting, and we'd have a different number 3, and then Bavuma at 4. So there's still an opening slot for that number 3 position. But if they're really struggling to look for an opener, there are other guys that I feel that are opening batters that can be looked at ahead of Neil Brandt that are currently playing in the SA20. So those are guys that never had a chance to be looked at. So it was the incorrect decision, I feel, to play Clyde Fontaine again as an opener, or play Clyde Fontaine as an opener. Clearly, he showed that in this match. And I feel that Eddie Moore should have gotten another opportunity, so that Coach Shukri maybe just has another opener to maybe look at for the future. But all in all, New Zealand now have a lead. I mean, South Africa now have a lead of 227 runs. New Zealand need that to win. And we need to bowl extremely well tomorrow, particularly in that first hour, and try to knock back New Zealand significantly. Like I said, this is going, if New Zealand completes this chase, it will be the highest chase at Hamilton in history. So in a fourth innings chase. So that's something that we need to take it into account, I guess. But this wicket has been very different to the ones prior to this match. Okay, let me get into the live chat and see what you guys have to say. Lawrence says New Zealand would be really happy with how that day transpired. Still looks a really good pitch to bat on, as the pitch has flattened out dramatically. SA losing 6 wickets for 33 runs tipped the scales. 100% put South Africa under pressure, and I think that's the reason why they got to 40 today, because they still had we lost our wickets when with time still in hand and enough time for New Zealand to actually bat when the wicket is still good and still flat. I do think overnight, perhaps after the roller goes over the pitch, and I feel overnight and with the morning conditions, South Africa can exploit that at least in the first hour, and we need to do so. We heard Dane Pitt say in the huddle after Neil Brandt spoke, guys, you just have to believe, keep believing, don't stop believing, and that's something that they need to do. They need to keep believing that they can do this, and they need to again bowl well in pairs and keep pressure on New Zealand and make them nervous. But with Kane Williamson coming into the game tomorrow, starting the day, we can only be a little bit nervous heading into the rest of this match. But we need to be at our best and we need to bowl really well. This might sound harsh, but I think we've seen enough when it comes to the likes of Hamza and KP. And yes, KP played well, but this is what he does: pretty 30s and 40s and then gets out. That's not good enough. I agree with you. Lawrence Bailey says David Bedingham was absolutely class. He just oozes confidence at the crease. Just seems a level above all the batters. It's very, he does, definitely does, and he's the only one that really looked comfortable at the crease, and that he can probably be in that a permanent spot. I feel he's earned in the Test side now, in my opinion. Priyanshu says Hamza is an overrated player. Hamza has been really bad. Expected better from him. We threw the he, we threw it away end. We threw it away at the end. Had a chance to score 300 plus, instead collapsed and let New Zealand in the game. Texas, we left 60 to 70 runs out there. We had the chance to put a target of 330, 340. Neil Brand played well, but not well enough. Need to get Williamson early now, 100%. Yeah, I do feel that we left some runs out in the middle over there. It was a terrible collapse from South Africa. Gaurav says, what's the use of playing Kyle? We are playing with 10 men, says Gaurav. Wesley Maestri says, cricket is a mental game. When you see your teammates get 100, it's your duty to make sure you get 300 plus because someone did the hard work. This for me was very poor. Lawrence says, yeah, that's a bit a bit disappointing for me as well, is that David Bedingham fought so hard to get us into a good position, and no one was fought hard enough to support him out there and stay out there with him. I think KP did, but the lack of concentration from the batters was poor today. What KP did this series is nothing new to what we've seen post that India series. That series was 2021. We can't be selecting him on what he did 3 years ago. Time for Rickleton to come in and get a run. Tex says, what Zorzi had done to be sure starter. What Zorzi has done to be a sure starter. I mean, he's got 1/2 century, I think, in Test cricket now. So he's shown good signs. He's shown good signs with the bat in the 4 matches that he's played. I think he does deserve an extra, because he has a 1/2 century to his name already. I think he does deserve an extra run in the team. And he would have played in this series, and it would have been a massive series to decide that. Gaurav says Ruan played a very horrible shot. It was needless. Yep. All of those batters played horrible shots to lose their wickets. We have thrown wickets throughout the series, and that's something that needs to be looked at. What I like about Bedi, that he always bats with positive intent, always looks to score like AB and Quinny. And I think that's maybe a trick that was missed by the other batters that lost their wickets cheaply. Perhaps once they got their eye in, they needed to play a little bit more positive. And positivity doesn't necessarily mean just playing a shot for the sake of it. It's about running good between the wickets, playing the gaps, playing the right shots at the right time, taking the attack to the team. But you can play that. You can be safe while still taking the attack to the team. So that balance needed to be found. Whereas this Harley, why do our batsmen seem like they lack ambition to score 3 figures? I don't think it's a lack of ambition to score 3 figures. I think it's just a mental hurdle they need to get over somehow. It's something that they need to get over somehow, find a way on how to break that mental blockage that's stopping them from getting over the line. It's unfortunate that KP on many occasions now has lost his wicket now in the 40s, in the 30s. That's something that he needs to find a reason on why that is the case. And perhaps maybe because he tends to build his momentum throughout an innings. You can see him starting to build confidence and play more shots as the game goes along. I mean, there was a period where he was unnecessarily playing pull shots when there's a fielder out there stationed to catch him. And he got lucky a couple of times where the ball missed the fielders. And those type of decisions need to be changed. I mean, or looked at, because I don't know. It's almost like his brain switches into attack mode, he doesn't know how to shift between the two modes, attack and defense. TX Escape is not going to the West Indies. Lawrence says Van Tonda was just as disappointing. Seems to struggle with the short ball. Something to work on if he wants to come back into the test arena, because teams will test him now. Yeah, I was disappointed with Van Tonda as well, getting good starts and then losing his wickets. Um, yeah, all of them. All of them were. Wesley, how do you feel Brandt should bowl in the second innings? I feel is more threatening than Van Berg. Got 8 wickets in the first test. Um, we could actually turn to him as well. I think Sean Van Berg bowled very well. He just was unlucky. Gaurav batters get start and throw it. No wonder why these players have low conversation in domestic cricket. Conversion in domestic cricket. I think Brandt should bowl the first ball. I think Brandt should bowl. There is something left in it for the spinners. I also need to see Reinhardt score more runs when conditions are not so batter friendly. We know when it's flat, you'll get your runs, but as soon as there's something in the wicket, it looks a bit shaky, and he needs to do that more at domestic cricket first. Score more in the coastal wickets. I know he's gotten a couple of centuries now, some runs at Newlands and Durban, but he needs to do it more consistently now in domestic cricket, and that will give us an indication as well, as to how the team will play, or how he will play in Test cricket when the wickets are a bit spicy. Guys, there's someone coming to Catalonia now, so it's going to be extremely loud. So I'm going to have to call this one a little bit short, because of the noise. You won't be able to hear me properly when they come closer to the area that I'm sitting in. And currently, there's no other place in the house for me to sit with a strong enough internet connection. So I'm sorry about that. Then I'm going to have to cut it short. But that's my review of the day. Well done to David Bedingham for getting his maiden 100. I'm extremely proud of his performance and extremely happy for him as a fan. He deserves it. He's now, I feel, settled his himself in the team as one of the main players in the test team now. He deserves to be selected consistently now for a couple of series. Wesley Khalid, I think we should have smashed New Zealand with our first team. This makes me frustrated. They are nothing special. And it is frustrating, but let's hope that these boys can put in a proper fight tomorrow and get the victory. I believe that they can if they do the basics correctly and they utilize the conditions as best as possible. And they bowl good lines and links consistently and keep the pressure on New Zealand. They can get we can get at them, and I feel that we can. Marwan Kriel says, I think Hamza blew his chances of staying in the Proto lineup. Can't play the short ball. Yeah, he's I think it will be difficult for him to now um, gain some momentum, and for him to gain some praise to get back into that side. It is going to be interesting. Gaurav says the first session is going to decide the game. We need a strong start. 100% need a strong start. That new ball is going to be important. That first hour is going to be important, particularly. And if we can knock them down 2, 3, 4 by lunch, South Africa have a massive chance. So that should be the aim. Getting Kane out, Ravindra out, Rashin Ravindra out, and we can be in a very, very good position. So that should be the aim. Knock them down 2, 3 by lunch tomorrow and try to maintain keeping maiden overs or getting dot balls. Keep the pressure on. Like with the spinners, put the fielders close by, put an attacking field there, force them to try and survive and really terrorize them as best as possible. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell for all future videos. I'd also like you guys to please do all the subscriptions that I've asked you in the description as well. All the links are in the description. Go take a look at that as well. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you again tomorrow for the review of. Let's hope that it is the match, and that South Africa can get a victory. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. All the best for the rest of the day, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace out.